the next thing we were going to talk about is the number of championship points you need to qualify for the Worlds has been revealed. They've been sort of they took a while revealing it, and it's a lot more than last year. It's certainly been increased. They must have thought there's too many people going to Worlds, so they've increased the number of points you need to qualify for your invite.
Right.
So let me just get the
Well,
points
while you're looking for
requirements
those
up.
points, just for anyone who's listening who's not super informed with the World Championships for Pokemon, how it works, basically, if you go to any of your local game stores, they should hopefully have sanctioned Pokemon tournaments where you can play with your friends or play against other people in small little tournaments. Mine usually has like 6 to 10 people in it. It's nothing too competitive. But if you win those tournaments, you can gain something called championship points. Now, what you'll get from your little local tournaments aren't really going to get you anywhere. But there are bigger tournaments like regionals, which are held throughout the world. Me and Electrify went to one in Pennsylvania earlier this year, as well as national tournaments and international tournaments. And if you can win enough of these, and you don't have to win them necessarily, as long as you get in a certain position,
Mm.
like I believe at the Philadelphia regionals, it was top 128 got
It was
points.
top 256 in the end. Yeah, we just
Yeah.
edged over the requirement for 256.
Right, so the top 256 players out of an 800 player tournament got championship points. And if you earn enough championship points, you get an invite to compete at the World Championships, which just happens to be taking place in Washington, D.C. next year, only about an hour away from where I live. So I'm very excited about that. I know I'm not going to be competing at Worlds, but absolutely I'm going to be attending.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm going to be there right alongside you. It's definitely something I want to go to, just to watch and just to sort of be there while it's going on, because it's going to be fantastic.
But you
Um,
actually have aspirations of competing.
well, I did until the points got released.
I mean, when we were talking, you said it still might be possible.
It is. It is still possible, and I am going to a League Cup tomorrow. So I've got my fingers crossed for that. It's at the same place that I came first in the League Challenge at a couple of weeks ago. So I've got high hopes for it, but we'll have to see, because I know the guy that sort of judges there has been talking to me and saying that people have been asking if I specifically am going, so that they can tech cards into their deck to stop Sylveon.
Oh
So
my god.
I'm
Well, you
sort of
become infamous around that place now.
apparently so, yeah. So I can't bring, and the thing is as well, the cup is going to be like, I think he said it was going to be like 8 or 9 rounds. It's going to be like the same length as the Philly Regionals day one was.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I can't play Sylveon for. It's 12 until 10. I can't play Sylveon for 10 hours. That's going to be ridiculous. So I don't think I'm bringing Sylveon, just because people are teching against me, and it's my mind would melt if I had to do that. So the points for this year, it's actually only changed because there's different points requirements depending on your age and depending on where you're from. Obviously, because different regions will have more events than other regions. So like the US is like the top. The US and Canada is like the highest requirements, and then Europe, then Latin America, and then Australia, and then South Africa. So the only changes that have been made this year are to the Masters Division players in the US and Canada and in Europe. Every junior and senior requirement has stayed the same, and the other three regions, their Masters requirement has stayed the same as well. So Europe last year, you required 250 points, and it's gone up by 100 points this year, which is the equivalent of topping 2 League Cups to 350. And in the US and Canada, it's gone up by 150 points. It was 400, and it's now 550, which actually means that if you went to a regional, and if you went to 2 different regionals in the United States and you came first place in both, you'd barely be 2/3 of the way to qualifying for Worlds.
Yeah, I was really not happy when I heard that because there's only like what 8 or 9 regionals in the country throughout the entire year. I wouldn't think it'd be that horrible just to have like, oh, you got first place at regionals. Here's a Worlds invite. You've clearly
That's
proved
the
that
thing.
you're a competent player.
It feels like if you top a regional or an international or like a special event with more than like 200 players there, you ought to just instantly get a Worlds invite, I feel.
Well, I thought internationals were instant invites.
I don't know if they are in the United States.
Because I know there was one player, way like a decade ago, but the only time he would compete is he would compete in an international, and then he would compete at Worlds. It's the only two tournaments he played in each year, and he won Worlds one year.
This year, if you come first place at an international championship, and these things have like 1,000+ players from all over the world coming to them, you will not qualify for Worlds in the United States and Canada. You get 500 points for winning an international championships. You are 50 points away from a Worlds invite.
Wow, I hope you can go just do decent at a League Cup or something. Oh my gosh.
That's the thing. Imagine
I'm worried about
first.
attendance this year.
Yeah, it's going to be low.
I don't know how many people competed at Worlds last year. At least in the
about,
Masters.
I think it was 130 in Masters, I think is the number I had in my head.
I can't possibly see this reaching. I mean, maybe they're doing this to increase the diversity. Maybe they want more international players. Like maybe what they looked at it and there was just too many people from North America.
It's certainly possible. So Worlds this year had 123 people compete.
That's nothing though.
And honestly, like the top 32, just a rough count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's only 11 American players in the top 32. Oh, and one Canadian as well. So there's 12 competitors from the US and Canada.
So like roughly 30%.
Yeah. So it's a large amount, but it's what you'd expect.
Yeah, what did we do to deserve this?
There's the most players in the US and Canada, and then in Europe. That's how it works. I mean, looking at Europe, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, there's only 9. There's 9. The actual world champion was from Europe as well. There's 9 competitors from Europe. So that's 21 out of the top 32 from the 2 biggest regions, and that seems like about right. I would think. Maybe because obviously the website I'm looking at, Limitless, only has the top 32. So maybe overall it was like a massive amount that was, and obviously it is held in the United States, so it's a lot easier for players to travel there. I know a lot of the big players do have their travel is sponsored by Pokemon because they are like the top players in their region. But for most people, it's even if you qualify for Worlds, you might not attend.
Yeah, that's true. Especially, I feel bad for some of the juniors and seniors. They're kids. They're not even 18 years old. Their family has to be able to travel here to America. Their, parents have to get off work and stuff. So, not that that's not something that they've been dealing with for like the 20 years they've been doing this. Just something that came into my mind there. But, being a United States player in this situation, obviously I don't have a ton of opportunities around me to get points. Like I keep checking the tournaments every now and then. I don't think there's been a single League Cup within like 100 miles near me.
That's really unfortunate.
I can't find one. I live decently close to some major cities like Baltimore and Washington D.C. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia aren't that far away. Not that I'm going to drive 200 miles to go attend a League Cup tournament.
Yeah. That's the thing. It does seem, and I mean, I suppose it should be like this, but unless you are super serious about qualifying for Worlds, you can't qualify for Worlds. Like you really do need to go quite far out of your way just to even have a chance at qualifying. Like I'm looking at my sort of like route to qualifying for Worlds, and it involves at least one trip to Germany. And like that's a big deal,
Yeah, I feel bad for, and this is something we'll be getting into a bit later because we're going to be answering some questions you guys tweeted us as far as getting into Pokemon. But if you want to be really serious, you got to be like really good to the point that you're getting sponsorships to travel around, or you got to have a decent amount of money. And I guess that's how it is for most. I don't know if you want to categorize this as one, but I mean that's how it is for most esports.
Yeah, it's that's the thing. It is kind of an esport. Is Pokemon? It's not. I mean, it's not like League of Legends or like CS:GO or anything like that, but it is. It's not even really an esport, but it is like it's a non-traditional sport, let's say. Um, and there's a lot of money in it, like because there are sponsors and there are things like that. Because even when we were at Philly, it was sponsored by Ultra Pro or something, wasn't it?
I think so, but I mean that regional. The thing with that is, while Pokemon does, the regional we went to in Philadelphia, Pokemon endorses it. It wasn't even ran by Pokemon.
Yeah, that's the thing. They sort of go, sure, you can hold a regional, but you've got to deal with it yourself.
Yeah.
Which is why there's like pricier tickets and things like that, because they've got to like hire out the venue and things like that, because it is like a private thing that's going on. It's not Pokemon themselves running it.
Yeah,
Um,
so I mean, with me, if I really seriously wanted to do it, the fact that I work 5 days a week, I have my weekends off, I can't just go traveling all over the country. Competing in worlds is just not realistic for me, probably
mm,
ever. So that's
that's the thing.
unfortunate.
You'd have to. I feel like if somehow you'd like come like top 8 or something in Philly, it might have been something you maybe look at, because there are like significant sort of payouts for doing well in these big tournaments. Because we remember I was jokingly saying, oh, if I win Philly, I'll just move to America.
Mhm.
I just quit my job and play Pokemon. But like, it's not viable for most people. Like even I'm quite fortunate to live in a like geographically compared to the United States, a small country. So if I want to go to a League Cup, it's not a big deal for me to go to find one nearby, because there's only so many there's only so many shops in the country, so they're going to have a lot of League Cups. Um, like even the little shop that I go to is like it's starting to look at doing League Challenges and League Cups after that as well. So everywhere in the UK is doing like these events. Um, so even for me, like the closest League Cup at the moment is about an hour's drive, um, which isn't so bad, and it's dead cheap to enter, and it's not too bad. So that's fine for me. But a big problem is that I work Saturdays, and a lot of the League Cups are on Saturdays, so I can only go to stuff on Sundays, which is a real pain, because that is really gonna like sort of hinder my accumulation of points. It is very early in the year, so I don't know how well. Like just judging now, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do. Sort of in 3 months' time, I'll sort of be a lot happier or a lot more miserable when I know whether or not I'm actually going to be able to make it to Worlds. But right now, I am hopeful to be playing at Worlds. But if not, I'm definitely, like I say, we're definitely going to be there.